Action may not always bring happiness, but there is no happiness without action. The art of being wise is knowing what to overlook. We are like islands in the sea, separate on the surface but connected in the deep. A great many people think they are thinking when they are merely rearranging their prejudices. Act as if what you do makes a difference. It does. The greatest discovery of any generation is that a human can alter his life by altering his attitude. To change one's life, 1. Start immediately. 2. Do it flamboyantly. 3. No exceptions. The greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another. Whenever two people meet, there are really 6 people present. There is each man as he sees himself, each man as the other person sees him, and each man as he really is. Seek out that particular mental attribute which makes you feel most deeply and vitally alive, along with which comes the inner voice which says, "This is the real me." And when you have found that attitude, follow it. Be not afraid of life. Believe that life is worth living, and your belief will help create the fact. If you can change your mind, you can change your life. The great use of life is to spend it for something that will outlast it. The deepest principle in human nature is the craving to be appreciated. Nothing is so fatiguing as the eternal hanging on of an uncompleted task. Whenever you're in conflict with someone, there is one factor that can make the difference between damaging your relationship and deepening it. That factor is attitude. I am done with great things and big things, great institutions and big success. And I am for those tiny, invisible, molecular moral forces that work from individual to individual, creeping through the crannies of the world like so many rootlets, or like the capillary oozing of water, yet, which if you give them time, will rend the hardest monuments of man's pride. To perceive the world differently, we must be willing to change our belief system. Let the past slip away, expand our sense of now, and dissolve the fear in our minds. Anything you may hold firmly in your imagination can be yours. Good humor is a philosophic state of mind. It seems to say to nature that we take her no more seriously than she takes us. I maintain that one should always talk of philosophy with a smile. Our view of the world is truly shaped by what we decide to hear. Begin to be now what you will be hereafter. If you believe that feeling bad or worrying long enough will change a past or future event, then you are residing on another planet with a different reality system. Wherever you are, it is your friends who make your world. We may be in the universe as dogs and cats are in our libraries, seeing the books and hearing the conversation, but having no inkling of the meaning of it all. There are no differences, but differences of degree between different degrees of difference and no difference. Human beings, by changing the inner attitudes of their minds, can change the outer aspects of their lives. Beyond the very extremity of fatigue distress, amounts of ease and power that we never dreamed ourselves to own. Sources of strength habitually not taxed at all, because habitually we never push through the obstruction. Procrastination is attitude's natural assassin. There's nothing so fatiguing as an uncompleted task. Genius, in truth, means little more than the faculty of perceiving in an unhabitual way. A great nation is not saved by wars. It is saved by acts without external picturesqueness, by speaking, writing, voting reasonably, by smiting corruption swiftly, by good temper between parties, by the people knowing true men when they see them and preferring them as leaders to rabid partisans and empty quacks. If merely feeling good could decide, drunkenness would be the supremely valid human experience. If any organism fails to fulfill its potentialities, it becomes sick. Knowledge about life is one thing. Effective occupation of a place in life with its dynamic currents passing through your being is another. Philosophy is an unusually stubborn attempt to think clearly. There is no more miserable human being than one in whom nothing is habitual but indecision. The aim of a college education is to teach you to know a good man when you see one. Belief creates the actual fact. A sense of humor is just common sense dancing. Religion is a monumental chapter in the history of human egotism. I am no lover of disorder and doubt as such. Rather, I fear to lose truth by the pretension to possess it already wholly. When you have to make a choice and don't make it, that is in itself a choice. Age is a very high price to pay for maturity. There are two lives, the natural and the spiritual, and we must lose the one before we can participate in the other. The strenuous life tastes better. The union of the mathematician with the poet, fervor with measure, passion with correctness, this surely is the ideal. We have to live today by what truth we can get today and be ready tomorrow to call it falsehood. It would probably astound each of us beyond measure to be led into his neighbor's mind and to find how different the scenery was there from that of his own. I don't sing because I'm happy. I'm happy because I sing. This life is worth living, we can say, since it is what we make it. It is only by risking our persons from one hour to another that we live at all. If you wish to upset the law that all crows are black, you mustn't seek to show that no crows are. It is enough if you prove one single crow to be white. Your hopes, dreams, and aspirations are legitimate. They are trying to take you airborne, above the clouds, above the storms, if you only let them. As a rule, we disbelieve all the facts and theories for which we have no use. A man with no philosophy in him is the most inauspicious and unprofitable of all possible social mates. Each of us literally chooses, by his way of attending to things, what sort of universe he shall appear to himself to inhabit. The prevalent fear of poverty among the educated classes is the worst moral disease from which our civilization suffers. Philosophy lives in words, but truth and fact well up into our lives in ways that exceed verbal formulation. our life, so far as it has definite form, is but a mass of habits. The community stagnates without the impulse of the individual. The impulse dies away without the sympathy of the community. All religions and spiritual traditions begin with the cry, "Help." None of us are ever who we were yesterday. Seize the very first possible opportunity to act on every resolution you make and on every emotional prompting you may experience in the direction of the habits you aspire to gain. There is only one thing a philosopher can be relied upon to do, and that is to contradict other philosophers. The greatest revolution of our generation is the discovery that human beings, by changing the inner attitudes of their minds, can change the outer aspects of their lives. Wisdom is seeing something in a non-habitual manner. There's nothing so absurd that if you repeat it often enough, people will believe it. The exclusive worship of the bitch, goddess success, is our national disease. Our colleges ought to have lit up in us a lasting relish for a better kind of man, a loss of appetite for mediocrities. Psychology is the science of mental life. The means have murdered the end. Whatever is beyond this narrow rational consciousness, we mistake for our only consciousness. These, then, are my last words to you. Be not afraid of life. Believe that life is worth living, and your belief will help create the fact. Our intelligence cannot wall itself up alive, like a pupa in a chrysalis. It must at any cost keep on speaking terms with the universe that engendered it. In order to disprove the assertion that all crows are black, one white crow is sufficient. I will act as if what I do makes a difference. To know is one thing, and to know for certain that we know is another. 1. Most people never run far enough on their first wind to find out they've got a second. The best use of life is to spend it for something that outlasts it. I fear to lose truth by the pretension to possess it already wholly. Compared to what we ought to be, we are only half awake. A stream of ideal tendency embedded in the external structure of the world. We ought to say a feeling of and, a feeling of if, a feeling of but, and a feeling of by quite as readily as we say a feeling of blue or a feeling of cold. To change one's life, begin now. Be bold, no exceptions. When once a decision is reached and execution is the order of the day, dismiss absolutely all responsibility and care about the outcome. As a rule, reading fiction is as hard to me as trying to hit a target by hurling feathers at it. I need resistance to celebrate.